So I just introduced this little song. It's an Indian song that I encountered while I was dancing in China, and it's such a great song. I'll put a link in for those who want to listen. It's such a great, Indian have some great music, as well as China, but I thought it was a little interesting that I was walking and I heard that song. Anyways, today I want to talk about, I was watching the news. I watch in the morning a show called WION, World is One. It's an Indian channel of news. They do hard news, which is good, hard to find in Canada. And so they did an interesting series of stories, but what I found is the first one they did was about Black Lives Matter. And as I continued to watch the news, I realized I came up with my own trademark phrase, nobody's life matters. As you'll see in the stories I'm going to present, there is very little concern about anyone, regardless of their ethnicity or regardless of their origin. So I'll just point out some of the stories that I came across. On the New York Times, there was a woman from Tennessee. She was pulled over by the police. I guess she had her husband probably had an outstanding warrant, but the police pulled over the car. A little argument ensued, and next thing you know, she tried to shoot at him. He returned fire and killed her. Was it just because she's black? I'll leave that for you to decide. I will say that this seems to happen predominantly more to blacks than to whites. And then there's Asian prejudice. There's been, I wrote down here, did I put it down? 150% increase in anti-Asian incidents, which is off the charts by anybody's calculations. It just seems that because the epidemic started in China, people are taking it out on Chinese in countries around the world, not just in America and Canada. So this seems unfair. It has nothing to do with people who are in Canada, whether they be Asian or not. And then there's lack of drinking water in not only Flint, Michigan, but Jackson, Mississippi, and in native reservations all over Canada. They've been doing without water for months on end. This seems ridiculous. You can't live without water, and if we're not going to care about the fact that they have no water, this seems to be very neglectful. What about Joe Biden? 70% of the people want Medicare, want to have proper medicine, but Joe, because he took donations from all these pharmacy companies, what we call Big Pharma, he won't provide Medicare to people in America at all. In America, Medicare is linked to your job, and so if you've lost your job, you've lost your Medicare, and now you're, what do we call, SOL, you're out of luck. The politicians just don't care about you. The Catholic Church, they won't bless same-sex marriages. That just came out yesterday. The UK, a girl was murdered by a policeman. They went to have a vigil, and the police, I'll show you the video. There were so many people, it was incredible. The police came by and broke it up. They wouldn't even let them eulogize this poor girl. I think her name was Everard. They wouldn't even let her eulogize her. So that seems to be sad on any measure. In China, they're now allowing foreigners to come back to China, but you have to take one of their vaccines. And as WION, I'll put a link in if I can find it, as WION reports, the 4 vaccines that China all have problems with them for various reasons. And as Palki Sharma Upadhyay, I'm not pronouncing that well, but I did my best, she points out you're taking a real risk with your life by taking one of those vaccines. She said it's up to you, but For Sinovac, the CEO has been caught bribing. Sinopharma, they have no data to prove that it works. There's 73 side effects, so you're rolling the dice if you take a Chinese vaccine. Have you seen the homeless in Venice Beach? They are now allowed to pitch a tent on the beach. They weren't when I was there, but I'll put a link into, there's a gentleman from Germany who has his own channel, and he's shown that in Venice Beach, there are so many people living on the beach in Venice. It spans about 3 miles. It is just incredible sight to see. Very sad. Last night there was a gentleman, a white gentleman in Atlanta. He went to 3 different spas trying to kill as many Asians as he could. He killed 6 Asians, 2 non-Asians, for a total of 8. Really terribly sad story. In Australia, a woman was going to work. I think it was a store. The police pounced on her because she didn't have a mask. She had one on when she was walking in. She transferred into the store. She was going to put a different one on. The police grabbed her in between her putting on the mask. She suffers from anxiety, and they just were all over her. The poor woman, poor woman. And then they fined her. She went to Rebel News and Avi, and they fought the fine, but it took them about 6 months, I believe. They finally got the fine to be, as we in the what do you call the lingo? They call it quashed, which means to get rid of. Crime lingo. But poor woman had to be put through all that. Hate crimes. Here I have my notes on the other side. Hate crimes against Asians are up 150%. There's also the incident at the Toronto airport where I think his name is Chris Sky. He does some good work with Rebel News. He was trying to point out that people there, that you don't have to go into a quarantine hotel. A lot of people don't know that. But the police wouldn't let him point this out to people. They chased him out of the airport. I think they threatened to detain him because he didn't have a mask on, but he told them he has a medical exemption. But they were able to chase him out of the airport so that he wasn't able to tell other people that they don't need to go into a quarantine hotel. Most people don't know that. But one woman didn't want to stay in the quarantine hotel, and she asked him to pick her up. But the police didn't want him telling other people that they don't have to go into a quarantine hotel. And then the last one I have on my notes is the fact that the government has all your data. If you go to Google, government is taking all your data. One way to prevent that is use DuckDuckGo as your search internet search browser. I must say, when I first heard of BLM, I did some research on Black Lives Matter. I wanted to be sympathetic. They happen to be a Marxist organization, and they were taking all the money that they had, leaking it to them. So they weren't necessarily helping black people. They were just linking all the money towards them and not black people. So I kind of get off them. But you can see that it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's that nobody's life matters. So I'm going to trademark that and have it be one of my things that I go to, because I don't find that nowadays anybody's life matters. If you're watching the news, it just seems there's little compassion for anyone. The one thing that I miss about all the Latino countries that I visited and the Latina people, they really care about people, brothers and sisters, hermanos y hermanas. They care about people like no one in this world. And when I mentioned this to a gentleman in Spain, He knew exactly what I was talking about. He totally agreed. I think he was from a country in South America, but he knew exactly what I was talking about. Latinos care about people like no one in this world. So I'll leave it there. I just point out that we need to take care of people. We need to worry about each other and take care of each other. I should do a whole segment on it, but I just think we should all stop going to sports and watching sports. Just bring it to a halt and spend our money on things that take care of people, taking care of food and all these things that matter to people. Sports doesn't matter. Sports is so pedestrian, as they say. It's really unimportant. Stop spending your money. Stop giving your money to organizations like the NHL and the NBA and the NFL. They have billions of dollars just raking in money. Don't give back to the people. They care so little about the people. You can do without sports for a while, but I'll do a whole segment on this, pointing out all the things about this topic. Okay, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening.